All right, everybody. It's another edition of Stevie Bullet's podcast, and I got my guest today, DJ St. Joel, Freshwater Deejays. Go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
What's up? I'm DJ St. Joel, the Freshwater DJs. I'm a DJ from Minneapolis, Minnesota. We say Minneapolis. I'm actually from a suburb of Minneapolis, a second tier suburb. It's called Bloomington, and I'm from East Bloomington. But I've been a DJ for 25 years. I'm 44, and I did it, man. Everything that I set out to do, I've done and I'm doing, and I live a comfortable life, and I'm in your area, and that's what makes me relevant to be on your show. So
Thank you for coming.
yeah.
And so you do a lot of promoting for fights and stuff.
Yeah, so I DJ for a few different fight promotions. It all started in Minnesota. I worked for a company called Driller Promotions, Driller Fights, and then my manager, who's also part owner, is kind of like he's a booking agent for fighters in different leagues, and then we developed this relationship with this league. We're like farm leagues, basically, to bigger companies, and what I mean by that is like LFA. We're like farm leagues for LFA, kind of. LFA's Legacy Fighting Alliance, and they're like the farm league for the UFC. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? If you
yeah,
get a belt in Legacy, you're probably going to the UFC. If you get a belt in one of our leagues, you're probably going to LFA. You know, and I know like there's like a East Coast version of LFA, and I don't know, they're not connected, but I know that one of the guys from the Stacks show fought on there, or John Gotti 3 fought on that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
aware of that?
yeah.
I
I seen
think
that.
it's CES. It's CES. But anyhow, there's a bunch of fight leagues, and I work for Midwest ones, and we combined Driller Promotions. We're not Driller Promotions anymore. We combined with United Combat out of Chicago. They do fights. They promote fights at Marionette Park, Illinois, at the Bourbon Street. And I've been going down there now, and I've been DJing there. I've DJed there twice, and I went to a fight there one time. So we come every 3 months. The next time we're there is April 8th. And I became a fan of you on the Bill Stacks Chatting with Stacks show, who
Shout out
I
to Bill
learned.
Stacks.
Yeah, that's where I learned about you. And I thought, oh, this guy's like in a street gang and an outfit dude, sort of, and he's from down kind of where I'm at, and being that we're Midwest, I just was like paying attention to you. Like I like all the people on his show that he has on, but like I just gravitated towards you because of the Illinois Minnesota thing.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you. Yeah, my
yeah.
story. My story is a redemption story. I'm not a gangster. I did run with the gang out
Well, I
here in
mean, in your
Cicero.
past.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was shot, a few times, 11 times total, 4 different occasions. So I survived a lot of stuff, went to prison. I had a bad drug addiction. But like I said, now I live a good life. I'm legit. I'm a gangster for real. I have 3 children. One of them's autistic. I go to work every day. I mean, right now I'm out on a hip injury. I had a hip replacement uh, from a car accident I survived 7 years ago. So, I've been through a lot of rough stuff, but I'm still here, totally legit. I'm still in the same neighborhood. Like I said, I promote, all good stuff. I don't have no time for bullshit. So
Yeah.
I'm into the fighting scene. We got Bobby Hits fights. Shout out to Bobby Hits. He's got some great entertaining fights, boxing. And, I got a few friends that are like MMA fighters, whatever you call it, martial arts. So yeah, that's a big thing. I'm really interested in that. I want to go check out those fights that you're talking about, Marinette
Yeah.
Park, for sure.
So that's
Uh,
April 8th. It's April 8th. They're Friday.
okay.
It's usually on a Friday. It's a really cool venue. I love the place. I'd like to branch out and start DJing there more, away from fights, just in the club part. But it's a cool bar. It's a cool town. And I knew that you were from Cicero because of the show. I saw you say that on the Bill Stack show. And then I'm staying in this hotel in Bridgeview, and I go rent a car off Turo, like in a city next to it, and I go through Cicero, and I'm like, no way, man, that's where Stevie Bullets is from, Cicero. I was like, wait a minute. So I hit up Stacks. I didn't even know if he'd respond to me on Facebook Messenger. I'm like, dude, This dude is totally invited to the fights. Tell him to bring his wife or his kids or his brother or family, whoever. I'll get
Yeah,
them
wife
on the
loves the
list.
fights. She comes
I'll
with
get
me
them.
every now and then. We get all dressed up. We get VIP seats from Bobby Hits all the time, so we get a table. It's really good, man. It's a good time. And the fights.
So
Go ahead.
he's
Go
a
ahead.
current fighter. He's a current fighter. Bobby Hits is.
So he's a
He's fighting
promoter, from my
currently.
understanding. Yeah, he's a
Okay.
promoter. He's got a beautiful, like venue. Then you usually get some like food, so you get down like a sit down dinner.
Oh
You know,
wow.
it's always a good crew, so it's a great time, man. It's the matches are really good. The fighters, he's got some of the best fighters I ever seen.
So
It's all good stuff with Bobby Hits, man.
is he? So he's got a fight promotion, like ours is Ignite Fighting Championships.
Yeah, I'm not
He does.
exactly
Oh,
sure. I
okay.
don't want to represent the guy the wrong way. I just
Yeah.
I'm just a fan of his, and I go to his lot of his
What part of
boxing
Chicago
matches.
is he from?
I'm not sure.
Do you
And
know
I
where
think
they
he's from
have the fights?
so the fights are out in it's at the Belvedere Banquet Hall. That's out in the suburbs,
Okay.
Elk Grove Village. So yeah, he's got a really nice venue out there, and that's usually where we drive out to and stuff. Uh but he's got a ton of fighters and stuff. Some of the guys from the neighborhood, he's real popular out here. They got some other clubs out here in Cicero. I'm not exactly what the name is. I know they got a couple boxing clubs in Cicero, but the main ones that I watch, like I said, is Bobby Hits.
Sure. Well, I hope we run into that guy. It sounds awesome. It sounds like a good deal. So we teamed up with a company out of, I guess, Southside Chicago called United Combat, and they throw amateur MMA fights at this Bourbon Street. And we combined forces with them, our Minnesota promotion and United Combat Chicago, and now we became Ignite
Oh,
Fighting
nice.
Championships, and we're representing the Midwest. So we're going to do stuff in Iowa, 3 different cities in Iowa. We're doing Illinois, at least down there in Marionette Park, Illinois, and then we're all over Minnesota. So I have a fight January 15th for Ignite in Austin, Minnesota, which is on the border of Iowa and Minnesota, which is southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. And then that's this weekend. And then January 29th, I'm freelancing and I work for another promotion out of Wisconsin called Chosen Few Fighting Championships. And that's at the Monona Terrace Event Center in Madison, Wisconsin. So
Oh, okay.
it's kind of relevant to you guys. Madison
Yeah.
ain't too far.
No.
Those fights sell out. There's over 3,000 people there. It's crazy. There's a lot of Illinois guys. Our announcer's actually from Illinois. I forget his name. Cubs fan. But are you're a White Sox fan?
Yeah.
Twins
All
all
right,
day,
though.
baby.
Hey, I promote anything that's positive.
Twins.
It's all about supporting your city.
Yeah, for sure. So that's how I saw it. So I was like, I'm in Cicero. So I hit up Stacks. He actually responded. I sent him the flyer to let him know it was legit because he's probably like, who the hell is this guy? And then I know it was short notice. I did put you on the list plus like 4.
Yeah, it was too short, but thank you. I
well,
appreciate it.
the next one's
But
April
next time
8th.
I'll definitely go for sure because, like I said, I like to network with different people and like I said, promote good things and I think we're on the same page, so that's a good thing,
Yeah.
And I think we'll go a long ways doing it like that.
Yeah, totally. So one of the cool things about the last fight that we had, which was like December 17th, the fight was December 17th. Is the main event was 2 females for a belt. It was a great fight. It was so entertaining. They were both hardcore. But what was really cool about it is there was another fight between a Chicago police officer and an Indiana corrections officer. And it was funny because like we're sitting in the production booth in the DJ booth and we're sitting there and we're like, man, if this CO loses, he's gonna go back to the jail and they're gonna be like, man, fuck you, punk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you had a chance to beat a cop's ass and you did it, bro. Like, man, like he let his whole jail down, bro, by losing. Like that's what we were joking about. But
Yeah.
think how cool that is to have like a corrections officer fight a cop. Like that was
Yeah.
cool, you know. The
Yeah.
dude's name was Giancarlo, the cop. Matt Giancarlo. He's ripped, dude, tatted up, like he's a beast. And the other dude, he was a tough guy too. I don't know his name, but he's Indiana corrections officer. So that shit's kind of fun.
That's
And you
good.
know when
I like
you're like,
competitiveness.
and you're in Chicago, so the crowd, half the crowd is like not, oh, this is a cop and a CO. Like, we want to see these dudes beat each other's asses. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck them both.
Yeah.
But that's the attitude that's half the crowd had, I felt like.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really cool. So that's the type of shit we do. And that was set up by the Chicago guys. We didn't have nothing to do with that. So that was on them. We that fight. We oversee like my manager, like he does a lot of the bookings for fighters. Like I'm like the only DJ that he represents. So I get to go do all these different fights. And it happens so he's like one of my best friends. Now he is. So I always get to like go DJ on UFC Fight Pass for LFA or everywhere that I DJ a fight is because of my buddy. His name's Jeremy Bjornberg. And he's the matchmaker for the company. And so, and we teamed up with a former Chicago police officer. He's part owner of the fight company, and he does the commentary because we do live streams. So we're on pay-per-view. So the fights in Chicago are on pay-per-view, and he's one of the commentary on there. So I'm learning Chicago, man. I don't know a lot about it. Like I've been there, 8-9 times in my life, but like not to work. So I was I'm going shopping or I'm going to see that big silver thing by Lake Michigan. What the hell is that? A bean?
Oh yeah. They call it the Bean.
Yeah.
That's downtown Chicago and stuff. I mean, Chicago's it's a great city.
Love it.
It's right now. It's a lot of gun violence and stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of homicides. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
a lot of it's
got a little more. Let's talk about that gun. Since we're on the gun thing, let's talk about this. Now, I've seen it on YouTube, a video, and I've heard a few different stories from legit people, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And there's just crates of guns, military issued guns being dropped off in like alleyways in Chicago just for free. Go have at it. Or they're getting it off the train.
Oh, well.
Do you know anything about that? Have you heard anything about that?
No, there's no free guns in Chicago. Those
not like that. Like somebody put them there on purpose.
Yeah, so
that's what I mean.
Yeah, access to firearms and pistols here in Chicago is really easy. As long as you got a little bit of money, you can buy a gun pretty much anywhere. It's not hard to find, and they're everywhere.
The actual story I'm talking about is like a crate of military guns just being dropped off in an alleyway in the hood. And then motherfuckers just wake up in the morning and they're like, what the hell is this? And then it's like a free for all. Like I've heard this story multiple times. And then when I ask my cop buddies about it, they're like, they get them off the trains.
Yeah. I've heard trains. I've never heard of them dropping them off like in the neighborhood.
There is a video on
because I'm sure somebody would grab the whole crate and be selling them. I don't think they would wait for the next guy to come and grab the next one. They would.
Well, that's basically what happened. And so like there's an actual video on YouTube that I've seen.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm not just making the shit up. So I was trying to ask, I was trying to ask about that.
So Chicago's a real political city, and a lot of these things are orchestrated, as far as like the snatch and grab, because, they usually hit like, it's called the Gold Coast in Chicago. And what they'll do is they'll have like few people and it's all orchestrated, and it's just because then, they go to the rich neighborhood, they steal a bunch of purses, they sell them, it's all politics, and like I said, when you heard that story from multiple people, I'm sure that there's some truth behind it
too.
Yeah. And I'm sure because in the poorer neighborhoods in Chicago, unfortunately, they don't the police don't protect the neighborhood like they would over on the Gold Coast. There's a big difference, so it's not as important, and it's a shame because it's not equal across the city. And that's what a lot of the problems happen, is because you have these poor parts, the poorer sections, like on the south side mainly, and then towards the north side is white Caucasian and upper end class people with
I got a buddy who lives up there that I
yeah
went to high school with and played hockey with. He lives up
yeah
there.
but it's all politics. I don't know the specifics of all this stuff, so I don't want to
Yeah.
act like I know what's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on.
I
But
don't know. I just got to ask you these crazy, like
yeah,
I
yeah,
got a
but I mean,
Chicago guy right now. I want to ask you questions. Like, for example, your buddy Dominic Capone, is he related to Al Capone?
yeah, from my understanding, yeah,
Wow. Okay. So,
yeah.
because I,
So, I mean, I'm
that's,
not 100%
oh,
sure
okay.
on his background and stuff, but from my understanding, yeah, he does have a connection with Al Capone
We
through
have, so
his.
like, Minnesota has so many like supposed Al Capone cabins everywhere because that's where they were making moonshine. Like, for example, there's a cabin by my parents, where my parents live up north.
Yeah,
It's on the top of a hill. There's a freaking runway airstrip cut out in the middle of the woods for planes. Like, in the middle of the woods, bro, a runway, right? And then they got this creek that goes down through. It's called Moonshine Creek, and there's a cabin at the top of the hill that's pretty much abandoned now because it's so old. But it's on a resort, and they say that was Al Capone's accountant's cabin,
maybe.
accountants. And
Yeah, but there's probably some truth to it.
well, I mean, you
Uh,
know what's crazy about it is the creek name, and then there's just an airstrip. So the only way the feds could come down was the bay. There's no way to get back there. There's no roads or nothing. So back then, so they would come down in the boats, and then they could see at the top of the hill that there's boats coming down the bay. So then they'd run to the airstrip and they'd dip out on a plane.
yeah, yeah. See, there's a lot of
Airstrip in
history.
the middle of the woods. They say
Yeah,
that's some Al Capone shit, man. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
In Wisconsin, there's a bunch of stuff like that too, supposedly.
Yeah, so I know Al Capone has a lot of connections to Wisconsin for sure
Yeah.
because it's in the books and stuff. You'll read about it. He had like a hideout or something in Wisconsin and stuff like that. And it's not too far from Chicago, so I'm assuming that Minnesota too is not that far.
No.
I know my
It's like,
grandfather used to have land up in Minnesota, Arizona, stuff like that. I mean, he had a lot of money, and when he first started off in Chicago, he was with the 42 gang, which is the Al Capone crew, the original crew. My grandfather was part of that, and his brothers were also part of that. My grandfather, from my understanding, was never a made guy because he had a family, and back then you had a choice. If you were going to be part of that life, if they told you to kill your brother, you'd have to kill your brother. And my grandfather never got made, from my understanding. I could be wrong because I knew from a young age that my grandmother had a lot of money. My grandfather was already gone. And I had asked my grandmother one time when I was a kid, about how she had all this money. She didn't have a job, and she was buying like cars for everybody and stuff like that. So I was interested because we didn't have a lot of money. So I was really interested in how my grandmother had supported herself. She told me that my grandfather had worked for the syndicate, which, from my understanding, he dealt cards in the bar. They owned a tavern on the north side of Chicago. And then, like, throughout the years, my mom would tell me certain things. And, like I said, from my understanding, my grandfather wasn't a made man, but his brother was. He started as a driver, and then he worked his way in, got became a made man.
it's
Of
always
course,
that's kind of the way, huh? Be like,
yeah. And then I
you
found some
know,
newspaper articles, about like my grandfather's past. He was implicated in a murder once. And then my grandmother would tell us, stories about like she had some diamonds and some fur jackets. And I remember hearing the stories, but I didn't remember like exact details. And then the articles came up, and it's hard to get those articles because you're talking 1940, late 1930s, you know,
yeah.
but then we did get it, and then I started reading these things, and then it started to make sense, because whatever was my grandfather's association with the Chicago outfit, he had really strong ties. And then my uncle, of course, he's still alive. He's in his late 70s, so he doesn't know all the details, like because he's old and he's forgets things and stuff. But he did mention a couple names that were pretty high profile and their relationship to my grandfather, and like I said, my grandfather and my grandmother, they had a lot of money, and my grandmother supported herself for like 20, 30 years after my grandfather was gone without having a job, and she lived comfortably until her death. And she always took care of us. She helped buy our first home in Cicero, and then she bought my mom and dad cars, and you know I just remember her giving big gifts and stuff. And then she, you know like I said, I started learning things. My uncle, of course, he was a doorman for James Marcello, which was a high profile mobster in Cicero. He's locked up for life in Florence, Colorado, Supermax. So my uncle had worked for him. Never said a bad thing about the man. Just what you see in the newspaper and articles and stuff. And I remember when my uncle would work at that club. So I just got familiar with seeing these guys and stuff. I wasn't real close with none of them like that. But then I started reading, stuff in the papers, and it kind of influenced my life a little bit. Like I said, I wasn't not a gangster or nothing like that. I was involved in a street gang. But I got to know who was who, and I had a lot of involvement with different people, and pretty much just took it from there. I'm really respected in the streets. I mean, I got some people, but it's nothing like serious. I don't have enemies that want to kill me or nothing like that. They might not care for what I do on
on
the
social
YouTube
media.
Yeah, but that's okay. There's always going to be people that are going to have different views, and it really doesn't matter to me. As long as they don't start physically attacking me or something like that. There's no issue. They could think what they want. It's not a big thing for me. But everything's been pretty good. Like I said, we got a documentary. It should be coming out pretty soon. Joey Seifert, one of the producers that I'm working with, his documentary, he has a book called Deadly Associates on Amazon. Check it out.
Was he on the outfit thing on Chatting with Stacks? Was he on that with you? And the Dominic Capone, was he on there?
Yeah, he was on there briefly. And his story is his father was involved with the Chicago outfit. They had some bad business dealings. His dad's name was Daniel Seifert, and his dad eventually paid with his life. He got killed. And Joe was there when his dad was killed. He was there when the murder happened. And and you know what? So it was real strange when we first started getting into the project, because we're from opposite ends, and I didn't know how to approach it. Like I didn't know what to expect. How he was going to think about me, but he's a good guy, and he just used his story. Pretty much. He did the book. He gives his view and opinion about how he felt about how things went. Of course, the guy that killed his dad is no longer here. He died in prison. So, it's all history.
For killing his dad?
Yeah, and I think a few other things. So
he got a long time.
Yeah, and then he died and stuff. But and
so when I'm going to later on share this. This is going to be on your YouTube, or where's this going to be?
Yeah, it'll be on.
Okay, later on, I'm going to share this, and for my friends in Minnesota that are watching it that don't know, in Chicago, that's what the mob is called, is the outfit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because they'd be like, "What are you talking about, outfit?" They might not know that. So I just wanted to make it clear for like people in my state that are going to watch it.
Oh yeah. So here in Chicago, they call it the mafia. It's called the outfit here in Chicago. As far as their existence, does it really exist? Is it still around? I don't know. I'm not part of that, but you read stuff in the newspaper articles, and pretty much here in Chicago, it's just like this. Just like anywhere. You got your different factions and history. Yeah, and it's just the way you present yourself and stuff. And as long as you keep it respectable, you don't cross lines, because like when you're talking about these guys, they got family members that are still here. So it's like, you got to be careful. You don't want to say something that's going to be disrespectful to these people's families, because, people were killed and people went to prison, and you just got to be careful about, what you say. I try to keep it a neutral zone. If it is somebody, yeah, I mean, I pretty much know who is who. So like when it comes to like any of my friends' dads or uncles, obviously I'm not going to speak publicly, bad about them or nothing like that. and
Sure.
usually I'll take it a different direction just out of respect for my friends, because I have several friends that their families' names are implicated in somebody's thing, and some of it's not even true, you know, and that's the bad part.
Mhm.
Uh, some of them get a bad rap, and it's not deserved. And then of course, then there are the guys that are no good, and they need to be exposed. But that's not for me. My whole thing is just promoting good stuff. You know, networking with different people across the country, and doing my documentary and stuff. And so far it's going pretty good.
Yeah. Do you have like a date that you are trying to get the documentary out by or finished or
So January 29th is going to be the premiere for Joey Seifert's documentary. We're with the same film
where's that?
company. Uh
In Chicago?
yeah, he's going to
At
have
a
his
movie theater?
yeah, he's going to do his
Oh
premiere in
wow.
Vernon Hills AMC. But it'll be on Reels Television 8 p.m. Uh it's called Deadly Associates. That's his documentary about him. And then, hopefully when his takes off, mine should follow right behind. And
Yeah.
you know, that's
So
our
soon.
yeah, that's our foot
Soon.
in the door. And then after that, depending on how good the results come from that, mine will come right behind it. Because like I said, uh I haven't put any money into my documentary, so these guys have invested in me. I do have a written contract agreement between us. So everything I do, I go through them first before I do
Sure.
anything. The podcasts are pretty okay. We don't have any discrepancies about none of that. As long as I don't give too much away, because
Okay. But
once we
the documentary is just about your life growing up in Cicero.
Yeah, and like I said, I was involved with the street gang, and then I went through a drug addiction. It's a redemption survival story. You know, it's not all. Like I said, I wasn't a gangster, so it wasn't any of that. I think it'll be. Once people see it, they'll understand it a lot better because the people that know me and grew up with me, you know, they're the ones that know me personally. So, but
What
once they see it.
what drug were you addicted to?
So I started with weed, and then it went escalated to PCP. So for a long time, I was under the influence of PCP. Did a lot of damage to my mind. You know,
That makes you hallucinate. I have
hallucinate.
yeah.
Your brain's not thinking the way it normally would be thinking. So I made a lot of bad decisions, and then you know that was just a gateway to other drugs, and then I got introduced to cocaine, and then heroin, unfortunately, and it wasn't
Did you
until
how did you do the heroin? Did you snort it, smoke it, shoot it, or all the above?
all the above
Ooh. So how long did you do that for?
for about 10 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it
So like
was
how long have
so.
you been so you're sober right now?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
long have you been sober for?
So my son is 10 years old. I got sober as soon as I knew that my son was coming into the world. I had to make the decision between drugs and my children. Of course, my my kids came first, and
Yeah.
yeah, my wife my wife wasn't going to deal with it. But I was, after going through all the stuff, in and out of jail, and losing friends, and just letting myself get to that level. It
How
was a
much
wake.
jail time did you end up doing?
So my last prison bit was a 6-year sentence, and I had to do 2.5 years on the 6-year sentence. I ended up down in a medium max prison, which is, you know, pretty restricted. It was
Is that
Galesburg.
Southern Illinois where that was?
Yeah, I was down in Galesburg, and then I transferred out to Graham, finished up in Graham, and
So
then it,
what was it like going there? Was it like how old were you the first time you went to prison?
I was in my early 20s. So my first prison sentence, I think it was like a 4-year sentence, so it wasn't that bad. I had some time in.
It's
I
still
went down.
that's
Yeah,
40 years away from everything you love though, you know.
yeah. But then back then it wasn't a big deal. I ended up going to Vandalia. They call it Clandalia because there's a lot of white guards down there, racist guys, and like I said, I'm from the city, so I didn't fit in too good down there in
So how
Vandalia.
does that work? Now, like you got to run with the white boys, or did
No,
you?
I ran with the 12th Street players, you
Oh,
know.
okay. So
So
you had people from your
I
clique.
mean, they had some white guys down there. I don't know what the name of their crew were, but they were,
Oh,
you know, but you could tell, you know, they didn't like all that shit from Chicago.
yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
we were different. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I lived around Latinos a lot, you know, and I grew up with a lot of Latinos. So, you know, I gravitate, you know, towards a lot of Latinos, even in the jail, you know. I was real close with Latin Kings and stuff like that. Uh Mostly, like I said, I mean, there were some white guys that I hung with, but you know,
I
not too
just
many.
somehow I was watching Vlad TV yesterday or the day before. I don't even know. I must have just got up and came back, and King Tone was the interview being interviewed on Vlad. So, like, I suppose, like, you're what in your 40s right now?
Yeah, I'm
O-
43.
Okay, so you might have, but you were young when King Tone was the boss, right? Or the boss, the leader. So, were you around those times, or do you remember that guy? Or
No, what is he?
no?
Southside?
I don't know. I just thought he was like the overall leader of the Kings. I don't know. Like during the late '90s, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, and no, most of so Lord Gino was the only one that I knew of, and he was already gone out of the state prison by the time I was already in there. I believe
Yeah,
that was
I
the
don't
case.
know. I can't remember. King
Yeah,
Tone.
they
I
moved
don't know
him
if
to
he's Chicago or
like
New
Florence,
York.
Colorado. But you know, there were a couple big, you know, big guys that were down there because I remember when some shit had kicked off when I was down there in Galesburg. We were all in the gym, and I had barely just got down there, and we're sitting, and two guys jump up off the table, and the whole gym goes up. They start macing everybody, and I was like, yeah. And then it was like shortly after. I mean, there was always fights down there in Galesburg, and then they had shipped a whole bunch of guys out one day, and you know, it's just pretty much how it went. And then eventually I got transferred to Graham, which was a lower security, and I finished out my time there. But while I was in there, you know, I stayed going to school and stayed in the books, and I had a couple family members, my uncle and my aunt, that would just write me and stuff. And, you know, they kind of motivated me. You know, they said, you know, you want to continue living like this, you know, writing us from a prison, you know, where do you want to go in life? And I just didn't want to keep wasting my time and my years. So I already knew, like, hey, once I get out, I want to meet a good girl, and I got settled down and have some children. I guess that's what life, for me, that's what it was. And then luckily I did. I met my wife, and we've been together ever since. Now we got 3 children, and it's just, you know, it's
How long
incredible
have you been
because
together?
since 2006, so about
Okay, long
14,
time.
15 years. Yeah, we've been
Yeah,
together.
I don't got any kids, man. I don't got a wife. I don't got any kids. I I think that's why I'm able to be a successful traveling DJ. To be honest,
Yeah, it's
like
hard
I
because
don't like it. I'd have to do a lot of different stuff. I can't
yeah,
get up and go. But
yeah.
I DJ in Minneapolis at a strip club called the Seville Club, and it's owned by Rick's Cabaret Incorporated. And Rick's, they got one downtown Chicago right now. It used to be the VIPs Gentlemen's Club. It's downtown Chicago, but I work for the Seville Club, and it's like one of their white collar clubs in Minneapolis, so to speak. Maybe considered a little fancier, like. But ever since COVID came, we've been a little more lenient on who can come in and who can't.
Yeah.
Just because COVID has screwed up a lot of business and stuff. So I actually started out working for a pimp in a strip club. His name was Dick Wise, and he was like the first real rich pimp of Minnesota. He had like the first Mercedes in Minnesota. He had like they called them saunas, and then there was 13 of them he
Oh,
had,
wow.
and they were prostitution houses, but they called them saunas, and they had them all over South Side Minneapolis. So I live in Richfield, Minnesota, which is a first tier suburb bordering South Minneapolis. Like I live 5 minutes from where George Floyd was murdered.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, bro, it fucked up our neighborhood, like the
Yeah,
whole
that's
area. Not
unfortunate.
like mine that I live in, but it did. Like they were burning gas stations down pretty close to where I live. Um, like the whole city got tore up during that. I was out there. I watched the third precinct, the police station, burn down. I watched it burn down, bro. I was out there. I
That's
wasn't.
horrible.
I wasn't throwing shit at it, and I wasn't like I was out there observing. I got video of this shit, bro.
Yeah, no, I
I got
understand both
video.
sides because I got family. Like I said, I married into a law enforcement family.
Yeah.
So I have family members that are part of the law enforcement that I support and I respect 100%. But I also had a good close friend of mine who got killed by the police, and that was about 20 years ago. So, and I'm not blaming the police for that incident, but like they're in a, this was 21 years ago, was me and one of my friends. We were involved in a drug transaction. The police pulled up to the scene, and my friend unfortunately got shot and killed during whatever happened. I wasn't there at the time when it happened, but I was a block away, and next thing I know, he lost his life. So it was unfortunate. They never recovered a gun on the scene.
What's his
So,
name?
Jose Diaz.
Rest in peace, Jose Diaz.
Yeah, so he lost his life, and so when the George Floyd thing came out, it kind of brought back a lot of feelings and stuff, because for a while, yeah, I mean, I did blame the police in the beginning. I felt like it was on purpose and it was intentional. So I had a chip on my shoulder with police for a very long time, and then, like I said, I married my wife, and my brother-in-law was a police officer, so it made me.
Your wife isn't. She's got comes from a police family.
Yeah.
Your wife does? Okay.
Yeah. All her family were police, and her sister worked for the court. Her sister was actually the clerk on the case when I got sentenced to my last time in prison. So that was a humiliating experience.
Oh man, that must have been tough, man.
Yeah, but you know what?
So you're sitting in court about to be sentenced, and your wife's sister is sitting there, the clerk, ready to type
up my sentence. And but that changed me because I understood at that point, like,
you guys laugh about that? Do you guys laugh about that?
Yeah, because I came from a really bad place in life, and I wasn't supposed to make it, and here I am today. I'm not a millionaire, I'm not a big gangster or nothing like that, but I have a legit job. I'm part of a union, Teamster 703. I have a great job, Anthony Morano Produce, who gave me the opportunity to work for them. And, I'm surrounded by a lot of good people. A lot of my friends are police officers in Berwyn and Cicero, so I support the town. Like when I started doing my documentary, I wasn't going to start talking about all the bad things that happened in Cicero. Some of it's history, dating all the way back to El Capone, but there's a lot of good history in our town. And we're going to focus on that. My story's a redemption survival story. And it's just, from what I've seen, they've been putting it together slowly, but it's coming together, because you don't want to just hurry up and throw something on screen, and like I said, we've been doing a little bit. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And these
But you want it to work, and you want it to create more opportunities for future. Like, you don't want it to be one and done. You want to keep going. You want it to open doors for new stuff. I'm interested in it. I want to see Seifert's. I want to see yours. Shit, I might want to go.
Yeah, you should.
I'll down there, man. I might. So.
Yeah, and we've been hooking up. Like I said, we got Cyril DiPaggio. Shout out to Cyril DiPaggio. He's another film producer down in Miami. And I've been meeting all these great people. I got to do a little acting myself. So I got a small little part in Joey Seifert's documentary. I play a hitman. Can't go too much into details because it'll be released a couple weeks. So I'll be there.
If you ever need a biker, bro, like I look, like a dude that looks like I'm not a biker.
Yeah.
But, I've been getting all bikered up because I DJ Sturgis the last 2 years. So like,
so Joey Seifert's
like one.
Yeah, Joey Seifert's actually, he was involved in a couple clubs, and he likes motorcycles and stuff. So
or an Irish guy.
yeah. And
I can play the Irish guy. So,
I'm
not a biker.
Mel Chancey? So Mel Chancey.
Is he the Rhino?
No, that's
the Rhino.
No, that's another guy. That's Mike McCollum.
Oh,
total difference. But
sorry.
So Mel. Sorry. So no, it's okay. So Mel Chancey, I've been following him a lot on social media. He's got a couple of mutual friends that I have. From my understanding, he was part of the Hell's Angel. He's looks like the Incredible Hulk. He's I
Oh,
guess he's changed his life. Yeah, he's a Christian now. So I've been following him a lot on social media and stuff. I asked him to do an interview with me too, but
yeah.
he's in the middle of making his own documentary himself. So hopefully after that's all done and said, me and him could hook up. But yeah, you should check him out. Mel Chancey's got a great thing.
And he's got a YouTube channel.
I don't think he's got a YouTube. Me might have a YouTube channel. I know he does some good stuff on Facebook, and I watch him every single day. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and it's all good stuff. So those are the type of people like I like to gravitate towards because you guys get on here, talking about they're a gangster and they did this and that. I mean, everybody did something. You know what I mean?
I ain't no gangster, man. I've done gangster shit. But I'm not a gangster. I don't claim a street or a neighborhood. I mean, I represent where I'm from. I got East Side tattooed on my body. You know what I'm saying? I represent where I'm from, East Bloomington. But where I'm from is where the Mall of America is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like.
Didn't they have a shooting over there recently?
Yeah, we just had a shooting there on New Year's Eve.
And that's sad.
Crazy story, bro. So one of the strippers at the club that I work at downtown Minneapolis, the Seville, was in the mall during the shooting. So what happened? She's in a floor below it at a jewelry store. She said they hear it. It sounds like a loud bang. And then all of a sudden, like mall security, like told everybody to like go into the back of these stores. Like just go run into a store and hide in like the back area. So like all these people go into this jewelry store and hide. People are running in from the hallway. So she's in there and she's like, I'm carrying. She's like, I got a gun on me. So she's like, I got my hand in my purse and I'm just waiting for these shooters to roll up in here and I'm opening fire for everybody in here. She said they're all like in a tight area and a little 4-year-old kid pukes back there. He's so scared he pukes. And then so my friend, she's like looking at her man and they said to the lady, can we leave? And she's like, at your own risk. So she said that they took off. She took her heels off. She had heels on. She had her hand on her gun in her purse, and she took her heels off in her other hand, and her man was like, give me the gun. And she was like, no, hell no. And they ran out of the mall, dude. And then they ran out. They were like street level. So it was like she was running across barefoot in the slush and the snow. It's probably like 0 degrees. It's slushy and snowy everywhere. She ran all the way to her car barefoot. She said she was stuck in that place for like, I don't know, an hour and a half. But what happened is some guys saw each other. And they had beef, and one of the dudes was like, oh, hell no, started running at the other guy, and the guy that was getting ran at pulled out the pistol and started opening fire in the mall.
Yeah, we had something similar over here in Oak Brook or something in the mall. But it's a good thing because it was isolated incident. It wasn't like we had a shooting spree going on because those are the ones you got to watch out for. The ones with the personal beef. It's just stupid shit because always an innocent person gets hit,
They tried to blame the Somalians, but it wasn't them. We got a lot of like Minnesota's like I guess it's a refugee state.
So yeah, they send a lot of people, right?
Yeah, so but we have like I would say in my lifetime, I was born in 1977. When the Vietnam War was going on, a lot of people from that area left.
And went to Minnesota.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with
people get displaced.
So I grew up with a whole bunch of Asian kids, which was great. They're some of my best friends, man.
Oh yeah, I get along with everybody.
Yeah.
I got family members that are black, white. Got a couple of Mexican family members. We're all mixed up and stuff. My roots, I was raised Italian. I'm not 100% Italian, just my mom, and it's a small percentage, but just in the neighborhood that I grew up with, everybody was Italian, and it's just how it kind of went, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I get along with everybody. When I went to prison, I had no problems, black, white, Mexican, Asians, everything. I got a buddy in India. He got deported, so we've been in touch ever since he got deported, and it's just and he was like a military reserve for like the Marines, and then
weird how that works, right? Like
and then he got busted for selling cocaine, his first conviction, and then he automatically, because he wasn't a citizen, of course he lived here ever since he was a kid, he got deported to India, and he didn't have anything back there. And he tried to get back here to the country, but they won't allow him. You know, they got really strict rules about that. And even though it wasn't a violent crime, it's just because, you know, it was a class X, which is like a high felony here in Illinois. Uh, it revoked his citizenship, and he got sent back to India, and he's been there ever since. It's been about almost 20 years because I've been out of prison since '09. So he's been out for a while and stuff. And we keep in contact through Facebook. You know, he's following my story because, you know, he was one of the guys that had did, you know, he did a couple years with me. So he got to really know me and stuff. He knew my story, you know, and luckily
tough,
we're both
man.
in better places.
That's a tough call because, like, I got a buddy like that too. He was from LA and he got in trouble with drugs out of state. And they said, hey, you know, here's your option. You get 15 years and we'll deport you. And when we deport you to Mexico, you ain't coming back. And he's like, he took I'm not going to jail. And he went to Mexico, and he's got a house here and a family and kids that he can't come and see. It's still his house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, he calls himself a white Mexican. And I said, well, I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know what you mean. And he's like, I was born and raised in America, and I went to y'all schools, and, you know, I've got your education, and, you know, like, I played sports like you guys did and everything else. He's like, I'm a white Mexican. I said, okay, if that's what you want to call yourself, you know, and he's like, I'm educated. He's like, I should have went to jail. I should have done the 15 because now I'm down here in Mexico, and I got a whole nother family and a whole nother house and a whole bunch of other kids, and now I got 2 lives, and I can't ever go to America.
Yeah.
Ever. If I do, I'll go to jail.
Yeah, that's how it happens, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that part sucks. We see a lot of that here in Chicago because you know, Chicago's a lot of Latinos and stuff. And
see, now Minnesota became like, so when I told you about like after the Vietnam War, there's a wave of different kinds of Asian people, not just like people from Vietnam. You know, there's a lot of people here that are from that are Hmong. And I think the second largest population is here. It's from their own country, maybe California. But then after that, then we had Hispanics moved in like in the 80s and 90s or 90s and early 2000s. And now it's the Somalians. So, which is cool with me, man, because like it's like a big old melting pot. And I feel like for me, like I love going other places, eating other food, learning other cultures, you know, whether it's just in the South or California or even Chicago, you can go down there and get some great Filipino food.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so like I love that shit. I love like indulging in other cultures. And I feel like I learn more and I come home to Minnesota and I can be like, nah, man, they got great food.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, like for example, I have a Somalian friend, right? They don't eat meat, right? They don't eat red meat. So we ordered a bunch of pizzas where we were at, and we forget that our boy's Somalian, and there's bacon on the pizzas.
Oh yeah.
So he eats the pizza, and he got sick as fuck.
Yeah, I don't eat pork
felt
myself.
so bad because I'm like, damn, man, we didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I said, so what do you do? He's like, fucking wait until I shit it all out, bro. I was sick for 2 days.
Yeah, I don't eat pork either myself, but not because I'm Muslim or anything. I just never really been a fan of pork. So like if I was to eat pork, I'd probably get sick myself. You know, I could definitely taste it because every now and then somebody will try to trick me, and I can taste the difference right away. You know, my wife's always joking with me about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just like I would never know shit like that. Had I not have, you know, I don't know, like I wouldn't know that. And that's what I'm talking about. I like to learn stuff like that. Not the hard way, but
yeah,
you know, stuff like that. I've never been to prison. I've been to county. I got a 45-day sentence. The county jail I went to was 5 hours away from my home where I live. It was my college town where I went to college. I for 10 of those, I ended up doing 29 and a half days in Beltrami County Jail. I got out on good time, so I lost 15 days. And then 10 of those days, I got to leave and go to school. It was called the Huber program, which was like a work program. So I got to leave and go to school for like 10 of those days. and I had an apartment in between jail and school, and I could walk from the jail to the school. That's how close it was. So in between the jail and the school, I had an apartment, and I still had money and shit. So I was still living there. So I'd stop at home and hook up with a chick or whatever in college before I go back to jail. And then I could always bring like cigarettes and shit for like the elders in there. You know what I'm saying? And it made me like safe. Because where I went to jail, it's a lot of natives are in there. And when I say native, I mean like Indians. But in Minnesota, we don't really call them Indians. That's kind of like calling a black. They're like, what are you calling me that for?
Right.
We call them natives. So like there's 3 reservations that surround my college. Red Lake, White Earth, and Leech Lake. So there's more natives than that little town, the college town. So like and they're discriminated against for sure up there by the police and them cops.
Oh, I'm sure.
Up there. And the people they call them lazy and say they don't want to work and all this. It's like bullshit. Hire the motherfuckers then. You know what I mean? If you can't hire them, they ain't gonna have jobs, you fucking assholes. Anyhow, I went to jail. There's a lot of dudes in jail that are native. So the first day I go to jail, there's 12 bunks, like a 12-person cell block, and there's 1 bunk open, 1 bed, and there's 3 dudes on the floor with their totes and shit on the floor. So I'm like 22 years old. I think I'm tough and shit, like I go over to that tote, or I go over to that bunk and I start making my shit. And one of the older natives is like, hey, that's for our elder. You're not taking that bed. I'm like, oh, hell yes, I am. I ain't sleeping on the floor like these other dudes. And then that dude got in my face right away. And, it's about to go down. There's going to be a fight. But before it happened, one of the guys, whoever it was, my name at the time, I was on the radio. And my name was Joel the Jock That Rocks.
Oh,
and
cool.
I'd rap on the radio, and I'd play local rap on the radio for Minneapolis. Mind you, we're 5 hours away north. We're like just south of the Canadian border, but we're 5 hours north of Minneapolis. So like I'm up here playing rap music on the radio, underground rap, and I'm like basically saying F the police without saying it, And so like what saved me is a guy in the back was like, hey, that's Joel the Jock That Rocks. I said, hey, that's Joel the Jock That Rocks. He's on the radio. He's cool with our people. He hates the cops. And the dude's like, you Joel the Jock That Rocks? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, rap right now. They made me rap right there. And I rapped. And they're like, the fucking bed, bro. You can have the bed, bro.
Oh, that's awesome.
Somebody else out the bed.
But I'm going to have to wrap this up. I got my kid. Yeah, we'll get back together and we'll do another interview, maybe in the next day or 2 if you're available.
Yeah, well, I'm down. Sure. I've got mad stories, dude, and I want to learn more about Chicago.
Yeah.
Remember I was telling you?
Yep.
What am I supposed to say when I'm in the ring or when I'm at the set? What's up, Marionette Park, Illinois? Or do I say, what's up, Chicago?
I would say Southside Chicago for sure.
Okay, Southside Chicago.
So with that, I'm out of here. Until next time.
All right,
peace.